The rain hammered against the window like it had a grudge, turning the streets of Brooklyn into rivers of regret. Avery slammed the door behind her, the echo chasing her up the narrow stairs to the apartment she barely recognized anymore, her heart pounding louder than the thunder outside. And there, in the dim glow of a single lamp, stood Taylor, soaked from head to toe, her eyes red-rimmed and wild, whispering the words that shattered everything. "I can't pretend anymore. Avery. I love you. And it's killing me." Avery froze, the grocery bag slipping from her fingers, apples rolling across the hardwood floor like escaped secrets. The air between them thickened, heavy with the scent of wet wool and unspoken years. Taylor's coat dripped onto the rug, pooling at her feet, but she didn't move. Couldn't. Her chest rising and falling in ragged bursts. Avery wanted to scream, to laugh, to run, but all that came out was a choked breath. A sigh that carried the weight of every stolen glance, every late-night conversation that danced too close to the edge. She stepped forward. Tentative. Her hand hovering near Taylor's arm. Afraid touch would ignite or extinguish whatever this was. "You don't get to drop that on me now," Avery murmured, her voice cracking like thin ice. "Not after everything. The promotion, the move to Chicago, the life we planned as friends." Taylor's lips parted, a soft exhale escaping, her fingers twitching as if to reach out but pulling back. "I know. God. I know. But watching you pack those boxes today, it felt like burying us alive." The room spun for a moment, the walls closing in with memories. They had met 4 years ago at a cramped gallery opening in Soho. Avery fresh out of journalism school. All sharp questions and notebook scribbles. Taylor with paint under her nails and a laugh that cut through the pretentious chatter like sunlight. Best friends? They called it. Crashing on each other's couches through breakups and deadlines. Sharing bottles of cheap wine and dreams that never quite aligned. But lately, the air had hummed with something electric. Glances lingering too long. Hugs that pressed a beat too close. Avery sank onto the edge of the couch, rubbing her temples. The storm outside mirroring the one inside. "Sit," she said. Softer now, gesturing to the spot beside her. Taylor obeyed, peeling off her coat with trembling hands, the fabric slapping wetly against the armrest. Silence stretched, broken only by the rhythmic patter of rain and their uneven breaths. Avery glanced at her. Really looked. Seeing the freckles across Taylor's nose. The way her curls clung to her neck like desperate lovers. "Why tonight? Why now?" Taylor leaned back, staring at the ceiling, a tear tracing down her cheek. "Because you're leaving in 2 days. And if I don't say it, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what if." Her voice was a whisper, laced with the ache of holding back for so long. Avery felt it too. That pull, like gravity shifting under her feet. She remembered the night they drove cross-country after college. Windows down, singing off-key to indie folk on the radio. Taylor's hand brushing hers on the gearshift, sending sparks up her arm. They had laughed it off then. Blamed it on the adrenaline of freedom. But now, with the city lights blurring through the rain-streaked glass, Avery couldn't laugh. She shifted closer, their knees touching, warmth seeping through denim. "I felt it too," she admitted, the words tasting foreign on her tongue. "Those mornings waking up to you sketching in the kitchen, coffee brewing, your smile like home." Taylor turned, eyes searching Avery's face, hope flickering amid the fear. "Then why fight it?" Avery sighed, deep and weary, her hand finally bridging the gap to rest on Taylor's. "Because I'm scared. Scared of ruining us. Of what people will say. Of choosing this when my career's screaming go." Taylor nodded, understanding etching lines around her mouth. "Me too. But pretending. It's already ruined us." The clock ticked past midnight, the storm easing to a drizzle. As they talked, words tumbling out like pent-up rain. Avery confessed the jealousy that twisted her gut during Taylor's dates. The way she'd linger in doorways just to hear her laugh. Taylor spoke of dreams where Avery was more than a friend. Of canvases left blank because inspiration felt hollow without her. Laughter broke through the tears at one point. Remembering the time they got lost in the Catskills. Building a fire that nearly singed Taylor's eyebrows off. But the laughter faded into quiet. Hands still linked. Thumbs tracing circles that spoke louder than words. Eventually, exhaustion won. Avery stood, pulling Taylor up with her. Come on. The guest room's a mess. Taylor shook her head, a small smile breaking through. Can I just stay here with you? Avery's breath caught, but she nodded, leading the way to her bedroom. The familiar space now charged with possibility. They changed in silence, borrowing oversized tees and shorts, the rustle of fabric amplifying every heartbeat. Slipping under the covers felt like crossing a threshold, the mattress dipping under their weight. Bodies inches apart yet worlds away. Good night, Avery whispered, turning off the lamp, darkness wrapping around them like a secret. Good night, Taylor replied, her voice thick with unsaid promises. Sleep came fitfully, dreams weaving between what was and what could be, until dawn crept in, soft gray light filtering through the blinds. Avery woke first, blinking at the ceiling, Taylor's arm draped loosely across her waist, breath warm against her shoulder. Panic fluttered in her chest, but it was laced with something warmer, deeper. She turned slowly, studying Taylor's sleeping face, peaceful in repose, lashes fanned against cheeks. Everything felt different, the air humming with quiet revelation. Taylor stirred, eyes fluttering open, meeting Avery's gaze with a sleepy smile that bloomed into awareness. Morning, she murmured, fingers tightening just a fraction. Morning, Avery echoed, her own smile tentative but real. They lay there, tangled in sheets and newfound truth, the city awakening beyond the window. No rush to define it, no words needed yet. Just this, the simple miracle of waking up chosen. But life, Avery knew, had a way of intruding. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, the screen lighting up with her editor's name. Chicago. The job. Reality crashed in like cold water. Taylor felt her tense, propping up on an elbow, concern shadowing her features. What is it? Work. Always work. Avery sat up, running a hand through her hair, the tangle of curls a mirror to her thoughts. They want me there next week. Earlier than planned. Taylor's face fell, but she schooled it quickly, nodding. Right. Of course. The silence that followed was heavier than the night before. Breakfast prepared in awkward tandem. Eggs scrambled too fast. Toast burned at the edges. They ate at the kitchen island, knees brushing under the counter, small talk skirting the edges of the chasm. Avery watched Taylor butter her bread, the knife scraping deliberate, and felt a pang. Tell me about your next show, she said, grasping for normalcy. Taylor looked up, eyes brightening fractionally. It's in LA next month. Themes of displacement. You know. People leaving pieces of themselves behind. Avery swallowed. The irony bitter. Sounds powerful. You'll kill it. Will you come? Taylor's voice was soft. Vulnerable. Fork pausing midair. Avery hesitated. The invitation hanging like a lifeline. Maybe. If I can swing it. But Chicago. Yeah. Chicago. Taylor set her fork down. Appetite gone. Look, Avery. Last night. It wasn't just the rain talking. I meant every word. But I get it. Ambition. Dreams. I have them too. Avery reached across, covering Taylor's hand. I know. And I meant it too. This. Us. It's real. Terrifying. But real. Taylor's fingers curled around hers. A squeeze that conveyed volumes. Then don't let go. Not yet. The day unfolded in a blur of packing and procrastination. Boxes half-taped. Clothes folded with unnecessary care. Taylor helped. Silent companion. Their shoulders bumping in the narrow hallway. Sparks igniting with each contact. By afternoon, they escaped the apartment, wandering the wet streets of Brooklyn. Puddles reflecting fractured skies. They ducked into a corner bookstore. The scent of aged paper a balm. Fingers trailing spines in quiet harmony. Avery pulled a worn copy of The Bell Jar from the shelf, flipping pages with a sigh. Remember when we read this on that road trip? Taylor leaned in, breath ghosting her ear. You cried at the end. Said it felt like peeking into my own head. Avery chuckled. Low and fond. You sketched the cover that night. All jagged lines and hidden faces. They bought the book. Splitting a coffee afterward at a cafe with steamed windows. Steam rising like unspoken fears. Avery stirred her latte. Foam swirling. What if I say no to Chicago? What then? Taylor's eyes widened. Cup pausing at her lips. Then you stay. We figure this out. Together. But Avery. It's your dream. Journalism. Uncovering truths. Don't clip your wings for me. Avery leaned back. Gazing out at the passing pedestrians. Umbrellas blooming like dark flowers. It's not just wings. It's roots too. You're my root. Taylor. The one that grounds me when the world's spinning. Taylor blushed. Ducking her head. A soft laugh escaping. Poets now. Are we? Only for you. The words slipped out. Earnest. Pulling a grin from Taylor that lit the dim corner. They lingered there until the coffee grew cold. Conversation meandering from fears to fantasies. Sketching a future in hypotheticals. What if we road trip to LA after your show? Avery suggested. Pulse quickening. Just us. No deadlines. Taylor's hand found hers under the table. Thumb stroking the knuckle. ID like that. Windows down. Your playlist blasting. Avery nodded. Vision sharpening. Me too. Evening brought them back to the apartment. Takeout containers scattered on the coffee table. A mindless movie flickering on the TV. But attention wandered. Glances colliding. Until Taylor paused the screen. Turning to Avery with resolve. We need to talk about this. Really talk. Avery nodded. Muting the volume entirely. Okay. Hit me. Taylor drew her knees up. Vulnerability etching her posture. I'm all in. Avery. Heart. Soul. The messy bits. But if you go to Chicago. I get it. I won't beg. Just. Promise we'll try. Long distance. Visits. Whatever it takes. Avery's throat tightened. Emotion swelling. Long distance terrifies me. The time zones. The silences. The what-ifs piling up. But losing you. That's worse. Taylor scooted closer. Their foreheads touching. Breaths mingling. Then don't lose me. Fight for us. The kiss came then. Tentative at first. Lips brushing like a question. Avery answered with a sigh. Deepening it. Hands cupping Taylor's face. Tasting salt and sweetness. It was clumsy. Urgent. Years of restraint unraveling in a rush of heat. They broke apart gasping. Foreheads pressed. Laughter bubbling up through the intensity. Wow. Taylor whispered. Eyes sparkling. Yeah. Wow. Avery traced her jaw. Memorizing the curve. Stay tonight. Again. Always. They migrated to the bedroom. Slower this time. Clothes shed with reverence. Skin meeting skin in exploration born of wonder. Whispers wove through the dark. Bodies learning rhythms. Sighs punctuating discoveries. Sleep claimed them entwined. The world narrowed to heartbeats sinking. Dawn painted the room gold. Avery waking to Taylor's fingers in her hair. Gentle tugs pulling her from dreams. Coffee. Taylor murmured. Voice husky. I'll make it strong. Avery stretched. Sheets whispering. A contentment settling deep. Sounds perfect. As Taylor padded to the kitchen. Avery lay there. Staring at the ceiling. Decisions crystallizing. The phone buzzed again. Editor's email this time. Details of the move. Salary bump. Prestige. She read it. Then deleted the thread. Heart steady. Taylor returned with mugs steaming. Handing one over with a kiss to Avery's temple. Black. 2 sugars. Just how you like. Avery sipped. Warmth spreading. Thank you. For everything. Taylor settled beside her. Legs tangled. So. Chicago. Avery set the mug down. Turning fully. No Chicago. Not now. I called in this morning. Bought time. A sabbatical. Maybe freelance from here. Taylor's eyes lit. A breath she didn't know she held escaping. You sure? Surer than I've ever been. This? Us? It's my story now. The one worth chasing. Taylor pulled her close. Kiss fierce with relief. Bodies aligning in promise. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of new beginnings. Avery pitching stories from the loft. Taylor prepping canvases splashed with dual tones of blue and gold. They navigated the bumps. Arguments over space and solitude flaring hot then cooling in make-up embraces. Laughter the glue. Friends noticed. Questions gentle at first then celebratory. Toasts raised at brunches in sun-dappled parks. One crisp autumn afternoon. They boarded a train to the Hudson Valley. Leaves aflame in reds and oranges. Escaping the city's pulse. The compartment rocked gently. Taylor's head on Avery's shoulder. Book forgotten in her lap. Avery traced patterns on her arm. Whispering plans for the gallery visit ahead. Taylor murmured responses. Drowsy. Content. The inn was quaint. Fire crackling in the lobby. Rooms with views of rolling hills. Dinner by candlelight. Stories swapped over wine. Hands linked across linen. Back in the room. Lovemaking slow and sure. Windows open to night sounds. Crickets chorusing approval. Morning brought hikes through mist-shrouded woods. Paths crunching under boots. Hands swinging free. At a overlook. Valley sprawling below. Taylor stopped. Pulling Avery close. I love this life. She said. Voice thick. With you. Avery kissed her. Wind tousling hair. Me too. Forever kind of love. They lingered. Sealing vows in silence. The world vast and welcoming. Back in Brooklyn. Challenges arose. As they do. Avery's first big freelance piece hit a snag. Sources drying up. Deadline looming. She paced the apartment. Notebook clutched like a lifeline. Frustration etching her brow. Taylor watched from the couch. Sketchpad idle. Then set it aside. Come here. Avery collapsed beside her. Head in lap. Taylor's fingers combing through hair. It's falling apart. All of it. Taylor hummed. Soothing. Breathe. Tell me the story. Not the stress. Words spilled then. Plot twists and dead ends. Taylor's questions sharpening focus. By evening's end. Outline reformed. Fire rekindled. Thank you. Avery breathed. Pulling her down for a kiss that lingered. Taylor's show loomed. Nerves fraying edges. Studio sessions stretched late. Paint flaking from skin. Eyes shadowed. Avery brought sustenance. Foot rubs. Quiet company. Opening night. Gallery buzzing. Taylor's pieces evoking gasps. Whispers of genius. Avery stood in the crowd. Pride swelling. Catching her eye across the room. A nod exchanged like heartbeat. After. Champagne fizzing. Admirers circling. Taylor slipped away. Finding Avery by a quiet corner. You came. Avery grinned. Arm slipping around waist. Wouldn't miss it. You're brilliant. They slipped out early. Walking the neon-lit streets of Manhattan. High on success and each other. Back home. Celebration turned intimate. Bodies celebrating in whispers and touches. Dawn finding them sated. Plans for LA trip solidifying. Winter crept in. Snow dusting Brooklyn brownstones. Holidays approached with tentative traditions. They hosted a small gathering. Friends gathered around trees strung with mismatched ornaments. Laughter echoing. Gifts exchanged. Avery's a leather-bound journal for Taylor's sketches. Taylor's a custom necklace etched with intertwined initials. New Year's Eve found them on the rooftop. City fireworks blooming. Taylor's back to Avery's chest. Arms wrapped warm. Resolutions unspoken. But clear in the way they turned. Kissing under exploding skies. Future bright as bursts. Spring unfurled. Cherry blossoms lining paths in Central Park. Picnics spread with cheese and wine. Avery landed a column gig. Bylines gleaming. Taylor booked for a residency in the Berkshires. They balanced. Visits planned. Trust the bridge. One humid July evening. After a day of interviews in Midtown. Avery returned to find Taylor on the fire escape. Easel set against sunset. Join me. Taylor called. Brush paused. Avery climbed up. Wine glasses clinking. Settling beside her. Paint me. Avery teased. Chin on knee. Taylor laughed. Dabbing color. Already have. 1,000 times. They watched the light fade. Talking of expansions. A joint trip to the southwest. Canyons echoing their growth. By summer's end. They drove west. RV rumbling through deserts. Windows framing vast skies. Stops at diners with neon signs. Hikes to hidden oases. Nights under stars in sleeping bags zipped together. Stories shared around campfires. Fears voiced and vanquished. Love deepening with each mile. Back east. Autumn again. Leaves turning. Lives intertwined. Avery proposed a lease extension. Taylor a studio share downtown. Commitments small but seismic. Building toward permanence. Winter's Eve. Snow falling soft. They walked hand in hand to the bridge. City aglow. Avery stopped. Breath visible in cold air. Marry me. Not now. But someday. Promise. Taylor turned. Eyes shining. Yes. 1,000 times yes. They kissed. Snowflakes melting on lashes. World pausing in benediction. Years wove on. Chapters unfolding. Avery authored a memoir. Truths bared. Taylor's illustrations gracing pages. Taylor exhibited abroad. Avery trailing when possible. Worlds expanding together. In quiet moments. Reflections surfaced. Growth acknowledged. That rainy night. Avery would say. Tracing Taylor's palm. When everything shifted. Taylor smiled. Completing the circle. And every morning since. It's felt right. Human. Messy. Beautiful. They built a life. Not perfect. But profound. Echoes of that first dawn lingering. A reminder that love. Once claimed. Reshapes the dawn. The gallery in Chelsea hummed with low voices and clinking glasses. But Avery felt adrift. Her notebook tucked under arm like armor. Taylor's latest show had drawn a crowd. Critics murmuring approvals. Buyers circling canvases that bled emotion in strokes of cerulean and crimson. She spotted Taylor across the room. Surrounded by admirers. Her laugh a melody cutting through the din. Pride swelled in Avery's chest. Mingled with a sharp twinge of something unnamed. Until Taylor caught her eye. Excusing herself with a graceful weave through bodies. You made it? Taylor said. Breath warm against Avery's ear as she leaned in for a quick hug. Lingering just a second too long. The scent of turpentine and jasmine clung to her. Intoxicating. Avery nodded. Forcing a smile. Wouldn't miss the unveiling of your soul on canvas. Taylor's cheeks flushed. Hand brushing Avery's arm. Come see the centerpiece. It's inspired. They navigated the throng. Taylor's fingers grazing the small of Avery's back. Guiding. The painting loomed large. A swirl of figures entwined against stormy skies. Faces blurred yet achingly familiar. Avery studied it. Breath-catching. Us. After the rain. Taylor nodded. Voice low. The night we talked. Or tried to. Avery's pulse quickened. Memories flooding. That confession. Raw and reckless. Had upended their world. Leading to stolen weekends in the Hamptons. Whispered plans over midnight runs. But Chicago lingered like a ghost. Her editor's emails a persistent drumbeat. I love it. Avery said. Meaning more than the art. You captured the chaos. The hope. Taylor turned. Eyes searching. Like we captured each other. The words hung. Charged. Until a patron's voice intruded. Pulling Taylor away with apologies. Avery wandered then. Glass of Chardonnay in hand. Mingling with half-hearted charm. Conversations blurred. Her mind replaying Taylor's touch. The way her laugh lit rooms. Hours later. The crowd thinned. Gallery lights dimming. Avery lingered by the exit. Scrolling emails. The job offer glaring. Taylor appeared. Coat draped over arm. Exhaustion softening her edges. Walk me home. Avery pocketed her phone. Falling into step. The night air bit crisp. Manhattan streets alive with taxis and laughter spilling from bars. They strolled in companionable silence at first. Shoulders brushing. Sparks unspoken. Then Taylor sighed. Deep and resonant. The show's a success. Offers pouring in. Avery glanced over. Street lamp casting shadows on her profile. You deserve it. Every stroke. Taylor stopped under a awning. Rain threatening again. But what about you? Chicago still calling. Avery leaned against brick. Cool seeping through jacket. Louder every day. The byline. The bureau chief spot. It's everything I chased in J-school. And us? Taylor's voice cracked. Vulnerability bare. Avery felt it echo in her own chest. A hollow ache. Us is complicated. Beautiful. But. She trailed off. Hand reaching for Taylor's. Intertwining fingers. Taylor squeezed. Eyes glistening. Complicated doesn't have to mean over. The first drops fell. Light at first. Then insistent. They ducked into a bodega. Neon buzzing overhead. Shelves stocked with sodas and chips. Avery bought umbrellas. Cheap black numbers. Handing one over with a wry smile. Prepared. As always. Taylor laughed. Twirling hers. My knight in newsprint armor. Outside. They shared the shelter. Bodies pressed close against the downpour. Talk turned tentative. Dreams dissected. Taylor confessed fears of stagnation. Canvases gathering dust if Avery left. Avery admitted doubts. The allure of stability warring with the pull of passion. By her building. Rain easing. They paused in the vestibule. Umbrellas dripping. Stay. Taylor whispered. Key and lock. Just tonight. Avery hesitated. Then nodded. Following up carpeted stairs. Heart thudding. The apartment enveloped them. Familiar chaos of art supplies and stacked manuscripts. Taylor poured wine. Handing a glass with steady hands. To uncertainties. She toasted. Clink soft. Avery sipped. Warmth spreading. To finding our way. Conversation flowed easier then. Sprawled on the rug. Backs against couch. Knees touching. Taylor sketched idly on a napkin. Avery's profile emerging in quick lines. Avery watched. Mesmerized. You see me like that. All edges and light. Always have. Taylor's pencil paused. Gaze intense. From that first gallery night. When you grilled the curator on authenticity. Avery chuckled. Memory vivid. You defended the abstracts. Said art lies to tell truth. It does. Like us. Lies of friendship masking deeper strokes. Avery set her glass down. Shifting closer. Then no more masks. She leaned in. Lips meeting Taylor's in a kiss born of inevitability. Soft at first. Then deepening. Hands exploring with tentative wonder. They moved to the bedroom. Shedding layers. Vulnerability laid bare in moonlight. Touches mapped uncharted territories. Sighs punctuating discoveries. Bodies sinking in rhythm of revelation. Afterward. Tangled in sheets. Taylor's head on Avery's chest. Listening to heartbeat. This feels right. She murmured. Fingers tracing collarbone. Avery kissed her forehead. Voice hushed. It does. Terrifyingly so. Sleep came gently. Dreams weaving futures untethered. Morning light filtered through blinds. Avery stirring to empty space beside her. Panic flickered. Until kitchen sounds drew her. Robe loose. Taylor at the stove. Pancakes sizzling. Humming off key. Coffee. Black. Avery accepted the mug. Leaning against counter. Watching with a smile. Domestic looks good on you. Taylor flipped a pancake. Grinning over shoulder. Practice makes perfect. Sit. Breakfast's almost ready. They ate at the table. Syrup sticky. Laughter over burnt edges. But undercurrents swirled. Chicago unspoken yet present. Avery cleared plates. Then turned. Resolve hardening. I emailed them. Deferred the start. 6 months. Taylor's fork clattered. Eyes wide. You did. Avery nodded. Sitting again. Hand over hers. Needed time. For this. For us. Tears welled in Taylor's eyes. Spilling over. Thank you. God. Avery. The kiss that followed was salt-tinged. Fierce with gratitude. They lingered there. Plans bubbling. A trip to New Orleans. Jazz and beignet. Taylor's next residency. Avery tagging along for features. Afternoon brought errands. Markets bustling. Bags heavy with produce and paints. Back home. They unpacked in tandem. Domesticity settling like dust motes in sun. Avery worked at her desk. Article drafting. Taylor nearby. Canvas stretched. Brush dipping. Evening meal shared. Pasta twirled. Wine loosening tongues. Stories of childhoods. Avery's strict Vermont upbringing. Taylor's freewheeling California coast. Laughter bridged gaps. Vulnerabilities shared without armor. Night fell soft. Bodies reuniting in familiarity. Explorations deeper. Trusts built. Dawn woke them gentle. Coffee routine established. World outside beckoning. Weeks patterned thus. Routines forming. Conflicts minor. Avery's column pitched. Accepted. Buzz building. Taylor's commissions flowed. Studio hours long but shared suppers sacred. One stormy Tuesday. Deadline loomed. Avery pacing. Laptop glaring. Taylor entered. Tea steaming. Breathe. Outline it for me. Avery did. Words tumbling. Taylor's nods guiding revisions. By midnight. Piece polished. Submission sent. You're my muse now. Avery teased. Pulling her close. Taylor smirked. Nuzzling neck. Mutual. Always. Autumn deepened. Leaves carpeting sidewalks. Air crisp with change. They hiked in the Palisades. Paths winding. Hands clasped. At a summit. Vista sprawling. Taylor leaned into Avery. This view. It's us. Expansive. Enduring. Avery wrapped arms around. Chin on shoulder. And the climbs. Worth every step. They descended renewed. Plans for holidays whispered. Family introductions tentative. Thanksgiving neared. Avery's parents in Vermont. Invitation extended. Nerves jangled. Taylor's hand steadying. It'll be fine. Or hilariously not. Avery laughed. Tension easing. With you? It's all fine. The drive north wound through farmlands. Radio soft. Story swapping. Arrival brought hugs stiff then warming. Mother's pie steaming. Dinner conversations meandered. Taylor's charm disarming doubts. Toasts to futures inclusive. Return south brought relief. Bonds tentatively forged. Christmas planned in L.A. Taylor's family beachside. Sun instead of snow. Flights booked. Excitement humming. Holiday unpacked in waves of sand and surf. Taylor's siblings boisterous. Parents welcoming. Bonfires crackled. Stories circled. Avery's tales captivating. New Year's on the pier. Waves crashing. Resolution sealed in midnight kiss. Spring bloomed. Careers surging. Avery's book deal landed. Memoir outlined. Taylor's solo show announced. Buzz electric. Support mutual. Late nights fueled by caffeine and caresses. Summer heatwave hit. Apartment fans whirring. Ice cream melting on tongues. They escaped to the Cape. Cottage rented. Waves lapping. Days lazed. Books read aloud. Nights passionate under gauzy curtains. By fall's turn. Commitments deepened. Joint lease signed. Rings discussed in hypotheticals. Life wove tight. Threads of love binding. One eve. Gallery after party. Taylor glowing. Avery toasting. Homeward. Cab rocking. Taylor's head on shoulder. Grateful. She murmured. For every dawn. Avery kissed hair. Me too. Endlessly. The fluorescent hum of the newsroom grated on Avery's nerves. Fingers flying over keys as the clock ticked mercilessly toward deadline. Deadlines had always been her thrill. The rush of unraveling truths under pressure. But tonight, with Taylor's text lighting her phone, it felt like chains. Show ran late. Miss you. Dinner tomorrow. Heart emoji. She smiled despite the fatigue. Thumbs replying quick. Survive the schmoozers. Can't wait. Hours later. Subway rattling home. City lights streaking past. Avery replayed their last weekend. A stolen cabin in the Poconos. Firelit confessions deepening bonds. Back in the loft. She collapsed onto the bed. Scent of Taylor's shampoo lingering on pillows. Sleep claiming her with dreams of shared horizons. Morning jolted her awake. Alarm blaring. Coffee brewing auto. Rush to the office. Pitches flying. Editors nodding. By noon. Lunch with a source at a midtown deli. Pastrami stacked high. Intel gold. Afternoon blurred in meetings. Then freedom. Streets thrumming with after-work energy. Taylor waited at their spot. A hole-in-the-wall Italian with checkered cloths. Candle stubs melted low. She rose as Avery entered. Kiss brushing cheek. Chair pulled. You look wrecked. Rough day. Avery sank down. Menu ignored. The usual. But seeing you fixes it. Taylor ordered for them. Wine poured. Stories exchanged. Taylor's day a whirlwind of critiques and contracts. Avery's a tangle of tips and tangents. Over tiramisu. Conversation turned serious. Forks paused. The book deal. Avery leaned forward. Eyes bright. They want the full manuscript by spring. Our story. Woven in. Taylor's smile faltered. Spoon stirring cream. Us. Exposed. Avery reached across. Hand covering. Anonymized. The heart of it. Not the names. Taylor nodded slowly. Processing. Scary. But yours. Tell it true. They walked home arm in arm. Autumn chill nipping. Leaves skittering. Inside. Coats shed. Bodies drawn together. Kisses escalating. Bed welcoming with familiar grace. Whispers in dark. Encouragements murmured. Love affirmed and touches tender. Dawn broke cloudy. Avery slipping out early for a run along the East River. Path pounded. Thoughts clearing. Back. Shower steaming. Taylor still abed. Curls splayed. Breakfast in. Bagels toasted. News droned low. Work pulled them apart. Days regimented yet punctuated by texts. Memes shared. Calls snatched and breaks. Evening reunited them. Cooking collaborative. Spices sizzling. Wine glasses touched. One night. Storm raging. Power flickering. They huddled under blankets. Flashlight tail spun. Childhood ghosts exorcised. Laughs chasing shadows. Taylor's vulnerability surfaced. Fears of inadequacy in art's cutthroat world. Avery held her. Words weaving worth. You light rooms. Mine first. Gratitude expressed in slow caresses. Storm outside mirroring inner tempests calmed. Morning sun pierced clouds. Coffee strong. Plans for escape hatched. Weekend to Boston. History haunts. Freedom from routine. Train north clattered. Seats reclined. Books open but glances frequent. City arrived vibrant. Cobblestones echoing. Harbors glinting. Museum meanders. Whispers over artifacts. Hands brushing in crowds. Dinner seaside. Lobster cracked. Views of sails bobbing. Conversation flowed to futures. Travels dreamed. Homes envisioned. Back to inn. Four-poster bed. Lovemaking languid. Windows open to seaside. Sunday markets bustled. Cheeses sampled. Trinkets bought. Return south reflective. Resolutions reinforced. Life resumed. But richer. Threads tighter. Holidays loomed. Tensions underlying. Avery's family dinner planned. Dynamics strained. Taylor prepped. Outfit chosen. Pep talks given. Drive upstate. Roads winding. Radio crooning. Table set formal. Conversations stilted at first. Taylor's anecdotes easing ice. Questions probed gentle. Acceptances tentative. Dessert brought toasts. Warmth genuine. Return brought decompression. Wine unwound. Bodies soothed. Thanks for braving. Avery murmured. Lips on neck. Taylor's shiver. For you. Always. Winter gripped. Snow blanketing. Holidays homebound. Tree trimmed collaborative. Ornaments hung with stories attached. Gifts wrapped secret. Eve fireside. Cocoa sipped. Christmas morn. Exchanges joyful. Journal for Taylor. Paints for Avery. Laughter over mismatched socks. Brunch lingering. Afternoon walks. Snow crunching. Mittens linked. New Year approached. Party invite declined. Preference for quiet. Balcony vigil. City countdown distant. Kisses timely. Promises renewed. Spring stirred. Book outline submitted. Feedback glowing. Taylor's residency confirmed. Berkshire's bound. Packing joint. Excitement shared. Goodbyes kissed lingering. Separation tested. Calls nightly. Letters penned old school. Avery's days filled writing. Nights lonely but fueled by missives. Visits weekends. Drives scenic. Reunions fervent. Summer reunion full. Plans coalesced. Southwest road trip booked. Canyons calling. RV loaded. Playlist curated. Adventure launched. Deserts vast. Sunsets painted. Campsites chosen. Hikes arduous. Summits rewarding. Stars blanketing nights. Stories circled fires. Bonds burnished. By trip's end. Tans deepened. Souls refreshed. Return east. Lives synced. Trajectories aligned. Falls gallery for Taylor. Avery's presence anchor. Success celebrated. After-party danced. Homeward tangled. Winter's quiet. Book draft completed. Edits embraced. Taylor's support unwavering. Reads aloud. Notes tender. One eve. Manuscript bound. Gifted. Taylor's tears. Pride palpable. Our beginning, she said. Pages turned. Avery nodded. Heart full. And every page since. Sunlight slanted through the blinds of the Berkshire's cabin. Dust motes dancing like fireflies in the golden beam. Avery stretched. Sheets whispering against skin. The scent of pine and fresh linen wrapping around her like a promise. Taylor was already up. As always. The clink of mugs from the kitchen pulling her from the warmth of the bed. She padded barefoot across the creaky floorboards. Pausing in the doorway to watch. A quiet smile tugging at her lips. Taylor. Hair tied in a loose knot. Sleeves rolled up on an old flannel. Pouring coffee with that focused grace that made Avery's chest ache in the best way. Morning. Sleepyhead. Taylor said without turning. Her voice carrying that husky edge from sleep. Avery leaned against the frame. Arms crossed. You let me sleep in. Plotting world domination. Taylor handed over the mug. Steam curling up. And pressed a kiss to her temple. Just yours. And maybe a walk to the pond later. The leaves are turning. They sipped in companionable quiet. The cabin nestled deep in the woods. Far from the city's clamor. This residency had been Taylor's gift to herself. A month of uninterrupted creation. But Avery had carved out time. Driving up every weekend. Suitcase packed with manuscripts and hope. The book was nearly done now. Chapters fleshed out with their life woven through. Not as fiction but as the quiet truth of two women finding their way. Avery set the mug down. Fingers tracing the grain of the wooden table. Read the last bit to me. Before I second guess it. Taylor nodded. Fetching the printed pages from the side table. Settling beside her. Their knees touched. A grounding point. Avery cleared her throat. Voice steady as she began. Words painting that first rainy night. The confession that cracked them open. Taylor listened. Head tilted. Eyes distant as if seeing the scenes unfold. When Avery finished. Silence held. Then Taylor exhaled. Soft and full. It's us. Raw. Real. Avery searched her face. Vulnerability flickering. Too much. Taylor shook her head. Hand finding her cheek. Perfect. Publish it. Let the world see how love sneaks up. Changes everything. They leaned in. Foreheads touching. Breath sinking. The moment stretching like taffy. The day unfolded lazy. Walked to the pond as promised. Path dappled with fallen crimson and gold. Ducks skimmed the water. Ripples spreading. Mirroring the ease between them. They sat on a weathered bench. Taylor's sketchbook open. Pencil scratching quick lines of Avery's profile against the autumn haze. Avery tossed pebbles. Skips uneven. Laughter bubbling when one plopped straight down. You're terrible at this. Taylor teased. Capturing the dimple that appeared. Only because you're distracting me. Avery turned. Snatching the book. Doodling a heart around her own sketch. Taylor pretended offense. Tickling her side until they tumbled back. Leaves crunching beneath. Kisses peppered with giggles. Lunch packed. Sandwiches devoured under a maple. Juice from apple sweet on lips. Afternoon brought studio time for Taylor. Avery nearby with laptop. Words flowing freer in the woods quiet. Sun dipped low. Painting walls amber. Dinner improvised. Stew simmering. Bread torn warm. Evening by the hearth. Fire crackling. Stories swapped. Dreams voiced. Avery spoke of expansions. Perhaps a podcast. Voices amplifying truths. Taylor mused on murals. Public art breathing life into cities. Night deepened. Bed welcoming. Bodies familiar yet wondrous. Touches mapping affections renewed. Sleep came deep. Dreams shared and murmurs half awake. Weekends blurred into a rhythm. Drives up fraught with anticipation. Return south bittersweet. Book submitted finally. Waiting game begun. Nerves soothed by Taylor's texts. Voice notes husky with encouragement. Taylor's work poured out. Canvases alive with emotion. Residency culminating in a small showing for locals. Avery front row. Applause thundering pride. Winter whispered in. Snow dusting evergreens. Cabin cozy with quilts and cocoa. Last days savored. Packing slow. Promises of returns. Drive home southbound. Road slick. Radio soft. Hands clasped over console. City greeted gray. But home loft warm. Reunion fervent. Suitcases forgotten in hall. Holidays split. Avery to Vermont for family. Taylor to California coast. Calls bridged distances. Video screens glowing with faces missed. Avery's clan warmed further. Taylor's tales of surf and sunsets shared over feasts. Reunions post-holiday. Airport hugs tight. Plans for joint escapes. Spring surged. Book acceptance letter arriving. Edits light. Release slated fall. Celebrations quiet. Dinner out. Toasts to chapters closed and opened. Taylor's mural commission landed. Subway station transformed. Avery interviewing artists for peace. Synergy sparking. Summer heat baked sidewalks. Escapes to beaches. Coney Island crowds navigated. Cotton candy sticky. Ferris wheel kisses dizzying. Night's rooftop. Stars faint above light pollution. Bodies cooled by fans. Love stoked slow. Fall's book launch loomed. Nerves jangling anew. Taylor anchored. Fittings for dress. Speech rehearsed in mirrors. Venue intimate. Friends gathered. Readings poignant. Questions probing kind. Signings lingered. Dedications penned personal. Taylor's copy first. Words eternal. Success hummed. Reviews trickling positive. Tours mini. Cities touched. Taylor joined where able. Panels shared. Audiences captivated by their authenticity. Homecoming sweeter. Loft sanctuary. Routines reclaimed. One crisp November eve. Book tour wrapped. They walked the high line. Rails rusted poetic. Views sprawling. Avery paused by a bench. Pulling a small box from pocket. Not yet. But soon. Will you? Taylor's breath caught. Box open to ring simple. Silver banded. Yes. Whispered fierce. Kiss ceiling. World blurred. Future crystalline. Winter's engagement quiet. Announcement soft. Families thrilled. Planning meandered. Venue countryside. Guests intimate. Spring bloomed vows. Ceremony under arches greened. Promises exchanged tear-streaked. Rings slid steady. Honeymoon islands. Sands white. Waters turquoise. Days idled. Nights passionate. Return to lives layered. Careers cresting. Home expanded with rings glinting. Years layered gentle. Chapters added. Children discussed in maybes. Adoptions pondered. Art and words intertwined. Legacies built shared. Reflections came in quiet. Anniversaries marked simple. That first bed remembered. Everything different. Avery would say. Hand in Taylor's. Better. Taylor smiled. Completing. Always becoming. In the end, love proved not grand gestures but daily dawns. Chosen anew. Human in its quiet profundity. Leaving echoes of grace in every shared breath.